I love the smell of sawdust in the morning. Yes, I do. Welcome to Pastor Dale's workshop. Several years ago, I published a little book called Kerfed Lining Made Easy. And would you believe that it is on the New York Times bestseller list? You wouldn't believe that? You'd be right. It's not that kind of book. It's a book about kerfed linings in making guitars and ukuleles. Okay, what are kerfed linings, right? That's what you're asking. What are kerfed linings? Well, this right here is a kerfed lining, okay? Let me show you how it works. I've got an old a piece of ukulele. This was one that I was making back years ago in my early days, and I messed up on it, and so I just basically disbanded the working on it and use it for an illustration. So what you can see here is the inside of the ukulele, and right here, this is the kerfed lining. Now, what the kerfed lining does, it makes the width of the side wider so that you have something to glue the top to and the back also, because you can see the sides are real thin, and you can't just glue a top or side to that. You have to have something more substantial, and so the kerfed lining is added. But the kerfed lining is something that has to be able to conform to the shape of the guitar or the ukulele. There are different kinds of kerfed linings. There's the triangle-shaped ones, like this one is, which is what I make, and they make them kind of that are also rounded. There's what's called tentalones that the old Spanish guitar makers used to use, where they would glue individual pieces of wood like this kerfing. It wasn't hooked to a kerf lining that would bend. It was individual pieces they would glue along the edge and give them a place to glue to. And there are solid linings. Sometimes we use a solid lining, but a solid lining has to also be conformed and bent to the side. Now, what I do on my ukuleles, this is typical on ukuleles, is for the bottom, the top we use a kerf lining, but on the bottom we'll use a piece that we cut out of the actual side that we have bent, a little piece of about that long, and we'll use it to make the side thicker. The kerf lining has to be made from a piece of wood that you have to cut down to size, and then I plane them to the triangle shape with the plane that you see on the workbench right behind me here, there, and then I cut them with a special jig that I made. I struggled with kerf linings for years. You know, as a luthier, you want to make your everything you can. You want to be able to make yourself. You can purchase kerf linings already made, but I like to make them myself because I know that I have made the entire guitar as much as possible from scratch, basically. So several years ago, I made this little jig. I found an example of someone who made one that was posted on Pinterest, and I took the idea and I made my own. I added my own concepts to it. It's not exactly like the one that was on Pinterest, but it's made so that it'll go into my bandsaw. And here's how that works. And so this little jig is used to cut my kerf linings. Now, what is the point of all this? The point of all this is that the kerf lining is important to the construction of the guitar. And it has to conform to the shape of the guitar if it is going to be useful. You know, we as Christians are part of something much bigger than ourselves. We're part of the body of Christ. We're part of a creation that God has made, and He has made each one of us very special and very unique. Every person is very unique. I hope you understand that you are very unique. And God has a pattern. God has a plan for your life. The thing is, we have to allow ourselves to be molded and shaped into that pattern. If we just have a raw piece of wood like this, and we try to make that shape bend to fit the guitar, what's going to happen? It's going to break. And the same thing with us as Christians. If we're stubborn and we're not willing and have a soft heart and humble ourselves before the Lord and seek His face and desire with all of our heart to be everything that He would have us to be, to shape us into the image of Christ, then we're not going to be fulfilling what God has for us, and very likely we could snap and break too. We certainly won't be what all God would have us to be. Listen to these words from the Apostle Paul from Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. You see, presenting ourselves to God, not being conformed to the world, but being conformed to Him, being transformed and shaped into the person that He would have us to be. You know, I pray often in my life, Lord, is there anything in my life that you need to take and to shape into something better? I want to be everything that you would have me to be. And if I am holding back in some area of my life, or I'm being stubborn, Lord, I want you to reveal that to me, and I want you to take my life and to make me more and more like Jesus. You know, the term Christian, you know what that means, don't you? It means little Christs. We are to be being molded and more and more into that image of Christ, because He was the perfect one that gave us the example. And the thing of it is that God will do that. He is working in our life to see that that's going to happen. In Philippians, the book of Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, we read, "And I am sure of this, that He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ." You know, the thing of it is that we can't shape ourselves. You know, just like my kerfed linings, that piece of wood can't just shape itself. It takes a craftsman. I have to work with that wood. And Jesus has to work with us to make it so that we will be conformed and that we will be the shape that He would have us to be. He will do that for us if we surrender ourselves to Him and allow Him to do that work in our lives. So, just like this kerfed lining, will you today ask God to shape you more and more into the image of Jesus?